We play and call it work.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Rules You Got Wrong, Warhammer Fantasy Edition. I'm going to answer some, or respond to some comments from rules I got wrong in my last couple of games from last week, and Josh will read them off for me, because you weren't in these games actually. I have to keep track, there was Luca.
Alright, so first up, Vampire Counts versus Burtonians. Old World Wars, episode 129. From Clarence. Good game. Lucan sees enthusiasm and enjoyable to watch.
He's
Some
fun to play.
Rules issues. What?
He's fun to play, I'm saying.
Luca is fun to play, yeah. 10 minutes, 30 seconds in. When you hit the Strigoi Lord and Terrorgeist with the Trebuchet, Tree Bucket, you have to randomize who takes the big hit.
Right. I did not randomize. I gave them both that big old strength 10 hit. Didn't matter though, because one rolled a 1 to wound and the other made a 6 up regeneration. Yeah, I should have randomized them. They both should take the hit, not that either one of them took even a single wound.
At 14:14, when the crew fail their terror test, they must flee. If you check the War Machine rules subsection movement, third paragraph, it says if forced to flee, they are destroyed.
Okay, so Clarence, I love you, and you're almost always right. This one, I read it over and over again. To Clarence's comment, there was actually a couple guys talking back and forth, and he brought some very good points. And I see your point, Clarence, but it comes down to very simply, terror is a panic test, and War Machine crew never, it's very clear, they never flee from a panic test. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I actually didn't want to go on alone on this one, so I went and gathered a bunch of people in the office for this one and went through it. But yeah, terror is a panic test, and War Machine crew do not flee, or cannot flee from a panic test, so they would have just cowered under the gun just as we did it. I wasn't sure at the time, but I'm pretty sure now.
14:25, if the crew didn't flee, why is the Terrorgeist redirecting its charge?
Because I made a mistake. Because we spent so long, literally so long deciding how we're going to, trying to figure out the answer to this, that so much time had passed. It was just a brain fart, forgot. So yeah, so they didn't flee, but then the Terrorgeist redirected his charge and then they fled.
18:45, you cannot join a character to a unit and then move or reform the same unit. See characters and units, subsection joining a unit. In this case, you could have reformed the unit first, then join the character.
That's actually what happened. So that was just actually, I went back to watch it to make sure too. It was just bad narration on my part, because I said everything that was going to happen, turned the camera off and did it. But yeah, so if unit reforms, then the character moves into the unit. That's what happened.
2010, since it is his vortex, Luke can choose to end it at the start of the magic phase. He doesn't have to roll. See the rules for vortexes, and it remains in play.
That was totally my bad. Not Lucas' fault. He's new to the game. I should have known that one. Wasn't even thinking. Yeah, he could have ended at any time because it did a lot of damage to himself.
All right, jumping down. I can't.
Call him Tor.
Tor Lovas Nezveg 1. That's it. Luca didn't have to roll to dispel his own vortex.
Oh, same thing. Yep.
Next, on to Unahim 1. 28-24. What's up with this bizarre way of allocating wounds? Big Red Book, page 45. Should you use suffer wounds, you must remove as many whole models as possible. You're not allowed to spread out wounds to avoid suffering casualties. Tempting though it may be. I think you're probably thinking about the rule on page 99 for characters in a unit with less than 5 rank and file models, but that rule talks about distributing hits, not wounds. The only rules about distributing wounds are on page 45, and as the shriek causes wounds and not hits, you must use these. To reinforce the point even more, page 99 says that it deals with normal shooting attacks, by which we mean shooting attacks that use the user's ballistic skill. Yeah, no, you're wrong. Sorry,
you're wrong. Quite simply, the very end of the screen it says distributed as shooting. That's why they're allocated as they were. So it has nothing to do with the killing whole models. You have to randomize where those screens go, just like there was a shooting attack. So I did it right in that battle report.
Okay, Unahim 2. There are 2 of them?
Oh no, Unahim 1 day ago, Unahim 2 days ago.
Oh, it's days ago.
It's just, it's just a timestamp on the YouTube comments. He's got 2 accounts.
Make 2 accounts? Okay, so Unahim, 1856. A unit that is joined by a character can move no further that turn. After you join them, they could no longer swift reform or move.
Oh yeah, same as that comment where there's poor narration on my part.
Okay, same fella. 2352. Do not remove models from the side of the back row of the lance formation. Wounds caused on lance formations are taken from the center first, and only then the flanks. Models in an incomplete rank are allowed to stay on the flanks rather than move to the center.
Yeah, no, I pull them that way just for easy. I'm right-handed. That's my camera hand. I pull them there just easily because they're easy to grab from on the one side. Not that because once a unit gets into combat with anything on either side or charges, just like every other unit, I'm counting them as they're on the edges. It's more of a ease of ability for play, especially with one hand, than a rules error. Because never once did a lance formation lose a charge or attack from it.
Okay. Next up, same fella. Seems fishy to me to let him roll to steal the initiative, then suddenly declare prayer. It's a bit late to start praying after your knights have attempted to win the best position on the field. Praying replaces your attempt to get to go first. So once dice are rolled, that's it.
Well, okay, so this one, I followed your back and forth with I think at least one person on YouTube about how to resolve this. Basically, Burtonians have the ability. If they choose to pray before battle, it gives their opponents the opportunity to choose who goes first. I was intending not to pray and going first. But in the scenario we were playing was basically a seasoned initiative if you're a 40k player. After deployment, so I deploy my entire army first, which is different for 40k, or sorry, fantasy. And then my opponent deployed their entire army, and then he then rolls a die. Luca rolls a die on a 2 to 6. Sorry, on a 1 to 5, I pick who goes first, and on a 6, he picks who goes first. So that happens after deployment, same time as with the choosing to pray. So they both happen at the exact same time. So myself and most people interpreted that I can choose after the die is rolled. So obviously once Luca decided to go first, I choose to pray. Now, I know in your particular back and forth, you brought up the fact that the FAQ talks about 2 Burtonian players covering up a die to see who can I do it blind. That wouldn't apply here because Luca does not have the option to not roll that die. He has to roll that die, and they both happen at the same time. Mm-hmm. So after deliberation with some people in the office here, we kind of sorted out how it should be handled from now on is before that player rolls a die in that scenario to basically seize the initiative, we're going to roll off to see who has to pick the order of what happens. Because there's no active player, nobody picks what order it happens. So in the future, in that type of scenario, we're going to roll off to see what happens first. On a 4+, I can say you can roll your die and then I choose, or if I lose the roll off, I'll have to choose and then you roll the die.
Okay. Next up, question about forming units. Unit usually consists of several models that have banded together, but a single powerful model such as a lone character, a chariot, or a dragon, a war machine and its crew, and so on, are also considered to be a unit. In addition, all models in the unit must be arranged in formation that consists of one or more horizontal lines, called ranks, and a number of vertical lines, called files. Therefore, Corpse Guard as a unit consists of 1 rank and 1 file. So to give some context to that comment, I asked in the middle of a battle report, Luke had cast a spell, Wind of Death, that ended up hitting his own chariot. Wind of Death does D6 hits or wounds or something for every rank of models it goes over. And then when he hit his own chariot, I started thinking, well, does a chariot have 1 rank? And I couldn't find anything in the book that said it counts as a rank or isn't a rank. So I erred in the side of caution and rule against what would be in my favor, and said it does not count as a rank for him, so he wouldn't take damage, and you guys can help me out here. I really couldn't find the answer if a single model counts as a single rank, but on page 5 of the rulebook, right at the beginning, it kind of says it does. A unit consists of 1 or more models listed in basically exactly as he wrote it out. Dragon, or
yeah, so yeah, I guess it would count, and yeah, so he would take the hits, but all good.
Next up for Screams, why you take Leadership 8, not General's Leadership 9?
At the beginning of the game, when we're going over what the models have for upgrades and stuff like that, one of them is, what's it called? Basically, it's a 6-inch aura of -1 leadership. That's why Leadership 8 instead of the 9.
What, the Corpse Card or whatever?
No. It's on the it's Bloodline power. Fear Incarnate, maybe.
Or like supernatural horror or something.
It's one of those. So one of those Bloodline powers, which was stated at the beginning, when we were listing the army off, has that -1 leadership bubble aura. So that's where it was.
Okay. Next up, we're going to move on to a different game: Vampire Counts versus Warriors of Chaos, Old World Wars, episode 130. First comment is from Oxford, 1990. Skeletons versus Wolfric and his unit failed their fear test. Why were the skeletons hitting on 4s and not 3s, and the Marauders hitting on 4s?
I done goofed. I must have thought they didn't fail. Oops. Yeah, if they failed their test, yeah, they should have been hitting on 4s. No, actually, Marauders are still hitting on 4s. Because Skeletons are upscale too. So the Marauders would still be hitting on 4s. The Skeletons should have been hitting them on 3s, so I probably only got that. Yeah, I got that half right. So I punished myself, but didn't give him the bonus. Half cheating.
Better than full cheating.
Better than full cheating.
Unahim. 1630. You can only get the bonus for flanking once, regardless of whether you're flanking both flanks or just one
Yep.
flank.
Yep. I got one too many because I had 2 flanks. Maybe I just assumed. I thought. Rarely do I get on both flanks of a unit. Never thought about it. But yeah, I kind of thought you got one for each side, but turns out you don't. I had to look that one up actually.
Okay. Clearance. Pretty clean game. I'm enjoying your tactic explanations, Steve. Here are a few extra rules errors not mentioned yet. 1310. Don't forget chariots have sides, so it's d6 plus 1 impact hits.
Yep. Forgot my +1.
2220. You forgot to count Luca's skeleton charge for combat res. You counted the rear bonus, but not the charge bonus.
He didn't need it. Oops.
2507. Don't forget death magic makes more power dice off the attribute.
I always forget that one. Kill a bunch of guys, get more dice back. Yep.
You don't forget it when you play against me.
I remember I played against him, yeah.
You jerk. Garer. Why didn't the skeletons get to attack the dragon?
The dragon was in their challenge. That's why. I issued a challenge with that mage, and then he accepted it with something. I can't remember what, but the skeletons couldn't attack him anymore.
Nesveg. 24-ish minutes in. Steve really has to learn the magic rules. Vortex has to be placed in the front arc of the caster. Big Red Book, page 31.
It was.
Learn it, though.
No, I know what happened. I think I might have missed the first unit hit. It's got to be on the sides because all I cared about. But it was my friend. I shot backwards.
Shot backwards from the front?
Yep. Because I was in combat,
Okay.
and there's a bunch of guys over there with a problem for me, so my dragon mage kind of went blah and sent it that way.
Gotcha.
See, the circle has to be in the front arc, not the whole template. Maybe you're thinking that.
Okay.
It very much says that. Okay, yeah. So there you
Yep.
go. The circle of the center template must be in the front arc. That's what it says. So maybe that's where they got confused.
So you started in the front arc and just went, woo.
Yep, and then send it backwards.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. Okay, that's this week's episode of Rules You Got Wrong, Warhammer Fantasy Edition. Keep posting the questions or in the comments in the things below because I'm learning stuff. So it is very helpful, and we'll keep doing these Rules You Got Wrong videos as you keep posting the rules wrong for us. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.